Good morning, Roadrunner. I am leaving the Carlo Col campsite. Very first time ever. I had a whole campsite to myself. There was no one here last night except me. That was pretty amazing. Pretty quiet. I slept like a baby. Plenty of good rest. And it's about 7:15. And we are off. Today, I think we're going to be able to get over the three gooses, like the East Goose, the West Goose, North Goose. Those are all big mountains. And we're going to go through Mahoosuc Notch, which is the longest mile on the Appalachian Trail, because you go really slowly through it. And it'll be very interesting. I've done it before, and it's a lot of fun. And then we gotta go up the Mahoosuc Arm, which is a pretty nasty climb. And we're gonna hopefully stay at Speck Lake campsite. But you know how things change around here. We'll see. So it's 7:30, and we just got back to the AT after that climb out of Carlo Col campsite. So 7:30, we've got 4.4 to go to Full Goose campsite. That's where my sister and Janet and I stayed one night before I did the Mahoosuc Notch, and they went back to the car. They didn't want to have to go through Mahoosuc, then climb the old Speck that day. So that was a funny night. That's the story where we got to camp and there was a southbounder coming in, and the girls knew they were leaving. They weren't going to go wake up and go through Mahoosuc Notch. They were going to go back to the car. So the southbounder asked him, "Are you Sobo or Nobo?" And Janet said, "We're Obo. We're outbound. We're getting the hell out of here." So we always joke about that one. So yeah, I'll get water at Full Goose campsite. There's a little spring behind the tent platforms there. So we got some climbing to do. Something new and different. Let's go. So up on the left there is Goose Eye West. And then that round thing in the middle is Goose Eye East. And we can't see Goose Eye North yet. But pretty glorious morning. Look it off in the distance over there. You can see the low-lying clouds in the valley. Pretty spectacular morning. We're looking south. Washington on the left, Adams on the right. There's Maine over there. And that's the town of Berlin, right there. Getting closer. There it is up there. That looks steep. So we're on top of Goose Eye West. There's Goose Eye East. And then Goose Eye North is right there. And then there it is. There's Mahoosuc Notch. That's gonna take a while to get through. And then behind that is Old Speck. These and the Old Speck are 4,000 footers in Maine. Beautiful day. And somewhere in that direction lies Katahdin, but we can't see her yet. but that's where we're going. So now we're on East Peak looking back at West Peak, and there's North Peak ahead of us. Yeah, that's some really cool trail through there going over. It's all kind of open, marshy. And Old Speck. A bit reminiscent of the Balds back in North Carolina. Boardwalk goofing. And just like that, we're on North Peak, looking back at East Peak and West Peak, and Mount Washington on the left, Adams on the right. Very clear today. Very thankful for that. All right, getting our first glimpses of Sunday River Ski Resort over there. Elfland. That was interesting. Well, here's the water source at Full Goose Shelter. You have to scoop it, and it's not like a fall or anything. And you can see the color is kind of dark. There's a lot of tannins in it. Should be perfectly fine, but it just looks weird drinking copper water. So we're leaving Full Goose Shelter now. We filled up with water. We got 5 miles to Old Speck Pond, but we've got these little things in front of us. That's gonna make it a long time to get there. We got a little thing called the Mahoosuc Notch, and then another little thing called the Mahoosuc Arm, which is a very steep section to get up to Old Speck Pond. So we got our work cut out for us yet, but should be fun. Oh, and I forgot, we have to climb Filling Mill Mountain first as well. So like I said, we got our work cut out for us. Getting a better view of Sunday River over there. And also a good view of, I don't know if you can see this, let me go out. See those groove marks in the granite? Well, they point exactly south-southwest, right where the glaciers were coming over. You can see the scratch marks going right over and that away. And you can just, see how the ice rode right over that rock a long time ago. Some really cool scenery. We're coming up to the south peak of Filling Mill Mountain. Yeah, just some real cool alpine zone stuff. Very beautiful up here. There you are, you sneaky little bugger. So this is a grouse, and there's a bunch of them back further. And the thing with these guys is that they scare you. Yeah, you'll be walking along a path, and just to your right, it sounds like a helicopter's taking off, because they wait till the very last minute to get away, and it is You jump when you hear that taking off right next to you in the middle of the woods. And I was just going over that boardwalk back there, and there was a snake. I couldn't quite make out what it was. I assume it was a garter snake, but yeah, you gotta keep all your senses when you're going through these woods. Some more steep stuff. Okay, we start Mahoosuc Notch coming up here. It's 12 o'clock. We only have, 3.6 to go, but this is going to be the longest 3.6 on the entire trail. It's going to take us 4 or 5 hours to do that, if we're lucky. So let's get it going. So why is Mahoosuc Notch the way it is? Well, there are two mountains pretty close to each other that each have rock faces. And over the years, those rock faces have eroded into this little notch. And all these big boulders have fallen down from the two cliff sides. And they've created this, basically a jumble of giant boulders. And that's where we're going, right inside that jumble. Here, I'll give you a better look in just a second. So we're at the beginning here, and it's just, it's gonna be some rock scrambling. I'll show you as we go along. One of the things you notice as you drop down into this canyon, the temperature just drops significantly. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw snow or ice in some of these little holes. The sunlight just doesn't get down in there. And it's at the, like I said, this V of these two mountains are close together. So cold air sinks. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll if I find some, I'll show you. You can see where these boulders have come from. That's just a sheer cliff up there. And there's another one on the other side. You can just start to see. Sometimes you just don't know where to go. It's not clearly marked. And it's anybody's guess. And we're still hard. I'm sure no one has ever no two people ever gone through this the same way. There's a zillion different options going through this stuff. And here's that cliff on the other side. Just dropped all of its rocks right into this notch. The arrows point that way. And at the lower end, it just kind of turns into this, turns into some parts of the AT, which it is. And I'm gonna get some water here before I start to climb up Mahoosuc Arm, but we are done with Mahoosuc Notch, and it's 1:15, so that took us 1 hour and 15 minutes to get through. That's not so bad. Slow going, but that's not a place you want to rush through. That is for sure. Now we start our 1.5 miles straight up Mahoosuc Arm. Here we go. Here's a nice brook. I don't know if you can tell how steep that is, but that's pretty steep. This really is some of the steepest climbs. The steepest climb I've had on the AT. Yeah, it's just straight up. The trail builders just said, screw it, straight up. You may wonder why there are holes and then there are pieces of ledge. Well, you can see this one's lost its rock.
but this one still has it. So when water comes rushing down here, that rock will swirl around and dig a hole, just like that rock used to do before it was gone, removed, fell off, got ejected, whatever. That's pretty cool, huh? It's like, that's how basins get made in rocks. Why bother with switchbacks when you can just go straight up? It's so much easier to build a trail that way. And there's old Speck, where we're gonna go tomorrow. I don't know if you can, yeah, see there's the fire tower there. Last time I was here it was too windy for me to go up. Well, I guess you could have gone up, but it was pretty scary. I chose not to. So if it's nice tomorrow morning, maybe we do go up. We shall see. And there's a better shot of Sunday River. So here's Old Speck Pond. This is one of the highest elevations of a pond in Maine. It's 3,400 feet. The shelter's somewhere over there. That's where we're gonna head to. But beautiful pond. Well, we made it to the turnoff for Speck Pond campsite. It's 3:40 now, and so we remember that sign back there. It said 3.5 miles to the spot. So I'm no expert mathematician, but I'm gonna say that's less than a mile an hour. That's pretty slow, but that's probably the one section where that time makes sense, because it is a slow crawl for that 3.5 miles. So let's go check in and see what we got. Now that's some fresh, clean water coming right out from a spring underneath the rocks. So here's my spot for the night. Pretty awesome. Sort of a pond view through the trees. So 9.4 today, 3,800 elevation gain. My knees got banged up, pretty sore. So yeah, I mean, I could have pushed it over Old Speck into Grafton Notch, but that's another 5 miles, and this body didn't have it today. So that's what we got. We'll see you in the morning.